Um, when Zish came to me with the idea of doing this, and you can tell sometimes, those of you that know Zish well, you can tell he already knows what he wants you to do. So he's not really asking like for you to be kind of choosy in what you want to do. He's like, I want you to do a TEDx talk. Okay, I'll do a TEDx talk. But I want you to talk about this, which is fine because it happens to be something that I'm very passionate about. And I want to talk about words and the power of words and how powerful they can be and how they can be used as instruments of change. You can change people, you can change lives, you can change the world, all through the use of words. Words, obviously, in both aspects of what I do, which is working in higher education and also in being a person that is an artist and a person that uses words to influence people. Words are obviously very important to me, and the power in words are very important. To give you a background, and the best way that I can do that is through my use of words. So I'll go back and forth in the next couple of minutes from talking to you like this and then going in and out of some of the stuff that obviously is written on paper somewhere that I've committed to memory and will sound more like poetry and less like me just kind of babbling. So when I think about words and I think about poetry, the thing that came to mind to me was to tell people that I'm not really a poet. I'm a man with a pen who thinks he can change the world by writing. The mic is my pulpit, and my poetry is just me testifying, and I'm not denying that this talent is God-given, though I do spend nights wishing I understood why. Why I have been given both this blessing and this curse. This talent can be described two ways, the best and the worst. I didn't ask for the insomnia of long nights trying to forcibly write the rhyme lines that keep popping in my head. I didn't ask to be that poet that in the same poem can have you going to church and losing your religion, instead leaving you both hungry and fed. Showing you that while our hearts are alive, 90% of our minds are dead. And it's not getting any better because too many of our youth are suffering cerebral flatlines from these music lines. And God gave me this talent, but I wish He'd given me more time because I don't know how many minds I can save with this one line. So God, if you're listening, I need more time. God, if you're listening, I need more words. I need a voice that's loud enough to be heard, whether I'm inside the room or outside on the curb. I need the strength to make sure I'm not scared and the knowledge to know why in the world that shuns your son, how come poetical prophets might be preferred. So God, if you're listening, I need more words. God, if you're listening, I cannot do it alone. I've begun to do my job. Now I need you to do your own. We need more poets. More poets who will stand on stage ready to save some lives, because that's what we've been sent here for, whether we fail to realize it and know it. And if this is the path you chose for me, then stop hiding it and show it, because you better than anyone else should know it. I cannot do it alone. So God, if you're listening, I need more poets. God, if you're listening, then show me how to reach these people so I can teach these people by preaching to these people. And through my poetry, you can speak to all these people, because I am more than a poet. I am an instrument of God, and no one should find it odd when I say I'm not really a poet. I'm a man with a pen who thinks he can change the world by writing. So, words, right? Powerful objects. Look, everywhere that I see, everything that I look at, I find poetry in everything that I look at, right? Take the Bible, right? Probably one of the greatest collections of poems, the book of Psalms. Psalms, poems, right? Prayers, poems. You cannot tell me that this started out as a prayer when in fact it probably started out as a poem that was turned into a prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's poetry. Prayer or poem, right? Power of words. I was 21 years old when I wrote my first poem. I was a junior in college. I sat down, I wrote my first poem. 16, 17 years later, I'm still writing poems, and every day I find more and more power in the words. First time I ever found out that words were powerful. I'm going to tell you a story. In 2004, I was invited to speak to a group of high school students at John Adams High School, Rockaway Boulevard, Jamaica, Queens. I arrived there I walk into a room, bunch of students are there, and there's clearly a group of students that are there probably because they've been forced to sit there and they don't want to be there. That's the group of students that I want to talk to. So I walk up and I introduce myself to several of them. And I meet a young man whose name is Hector. And Hector's entire world was Jamaica, Queens. His high school was his playground. His home was his after playground, because when he went school, home, Hector was focused on nothing more than just living every day in Jamaica, Queens. He had no desire to succeed. He had no goals, no aspirations. And Hector was at a point in his life where he needed to hear some very powerful words. I didn't know this about Hector from the conversation that I had with him before my presentation. I simply walked to him. I introduced myself. I found out very small things about him. And then it was time for me to entertain, at least that's what I thought I was doing at the time, entertain those students. And for some reason, a couple of months prior to that interaction, I had penned a poem that Zish has probably seen on YouTube, since it's a little awkward. He watches me on YouTube. But I penned this poem, and at the time, I penned it because I was working with a certain population of young folks in a high school here in New Jersey. I had no idea that it would impact a young man named Hector months later at a high school in Queens. And I said to Hector, in this particular poem, these words: I would stand amidst the fists on the battlefield, amongst an army of red and an army of blue, and I stand tall and true as I ask you, what are you fighting for? This 4 foot by 4 foot concrete block you're arguing for and bartering for is merely a prison without bars that still manages to arrest you by confining your mind, and you allow this corner to define you, and now you're redefining yourself by calling yourself a street corner entrepreneur. And I ask you, what are you fighting for? You see, I'm fighting for you because I'm sick and tired of watching you destroy your lives while you divide and conquer yourself, so I'm trying my hardest to bring you back together again. I'm sick and tired of this happening over and over and over again, and I can no longer pretend it's not happening, as now it's getting too close to home. Now you're standing on corners I used to call my own corners I once considered a safe zone, and now I'm too afraid to let my mother walk to the store alone, because these streets, they're covered with cowardly fake gangsters, and I'm angered at the nonsense. The rag on your head is somehow keeping knowledge from seeping into your brain. Don't you see that you're dying for nothing rather than living for something? You're self-destructing and just messing your own self over, and I ask you, what are you fighting for? You're waging wars over something that never was and never will be yours, because owning the streets is just a fictitious concept that gets misused by hip-hop dudes trying to pass themselves off as reincarnated gangsters. So contrary to popular belief, no matter how deep your gang is or how much money you think you make from crack rocks, the only concrete blocks you'll ever own are the ones that come with steel bars or the ones we call tombstones. So I guess the only decision left for you to choose is whether the fabric in your casket should be red or blue. And I ask you, what are you dying for? So, Hector and I never shared a word after that. I finished my performance. He was excitedly excused from the program. He took off. We went in separate directions, and I went home. About a year later, sitting in my office, not here, but at another institution, and I got an email from a man named Hector. And Hector sent me an email and said, I need you to understand how powerful your words are and how powerful your words were to me a year ago when I first heard them. And Hector began to tell me a story about how during his freshman year at John Adams, there was a lot of neighborhood gang activity in his life, and he was, headed down that road. And the words that he heard that day made him make a change in his life. And I believe that helping a person make a change in their life is how you affect change in the world. Right? If you can help one person to make a positive change in their life, they have then made a positive change in the world. And that is how words change the world. Right? Hector decided to make a complete 180. He refocused his attention. He built a positive relationship with teachers at his high school. He graduated his high school. He is now a college student. Hector didn't know what colleges were. If Jamaica Queens didn't have a college, he didn't think he could go to a college because he was all about Jamaica Queens. He is now away at school, making more of a positive change in the world. So that is how, to me, words are powerful. Words make change. So I have something else that I would like to share with you before I close. When I sat down to write something about why I actually got involved in poetry and why I think words are so powerful, these are the words that came to mind to me. Tonight I write with insight to get inside the mind of just one person, just one time. Tonight I write in order to eventually recite and touch the heart of someone whose world is falling apart, so tonight I write. When you say the right thing at the right time to the right person, it justifies all the practice and rehearsing, because touching someone's soul is the reason I get up on the mic. So tonight I write. Tonight I write so I might save somebody's life on the mic. Tonight I write so I can fight the good fight with all my might and sit down tonight and write. Tonight I write so that next week I might seek to reach you and teach you, hoping to bring to light the things that once deceived you. So tonight I write. Tonight I write so I might expose through prose the moments to come. Like after every dark night comes the inevitable dawning of the sun, so tonight I write. Tonight I write so I might once again pen some words that help you ascend to a higher level, leaving you to revel in how high you could fly if you'd simply deny your tendencies to settle. Settling for second best is not why I write. Settling for second best is not why I picked up a pen and decided to write, because settling for second best is not what you need. Settling for second best means that you will never be in front to lead, so tonight I write. Tonight I write so I might propel you to the forefront of the race, giving you the inspiration to finish better than second place. Tonight I write so I might inspire you to be the fire that burns bright. So even if surrounded by darkness, you will still illuminate like sunlight, standing tall and upright, never backing down from any fight. So tonight I write. Tonight I write so that next month, just once, you might reflect back on the night when you first heard my words and how they served you a serving of purpose. All I'm trying to do is inspire you through the words I write. Tonight I write so I might say the right things that in a moment of loss will comfort you. Tonight I write so I might be the pedestal that uplifts from under you, helping you to swim through muddy oceans of emotions simply because the words I once wrote have now become spoken. So tonight I write. So tonight I write. Tomorrow I'll write. The next day I'll write. And for all of you that are here, hopefully you will write. Because writing your words down, you may only reach one person in your life through the words that you write down. But you don't know if that will happen in this lifetime. You don't know if it'll happen in their next lifetime. You don't know if it'll happen 100 years from now. Write your words down. Words are powerful. Leave your words behind. You never know who will need to hear them. There's power in words. Thank you.